Rachel, hello, Mark. It was one of the first matches I'd ever got. Matched with this girl, and it was all kind of new, this thing of like, oh, what do you do, sort of thing. And she was quite adamant that we were going to like meet up. But at the time, I was flat broke, sort of thing. I was really skint, and I'd said that to her. I was like, I don't get paid until Friday, but as soon as I get paid, let's go out on Friday night. But she was like, no, let's go out tonight. It's my treat. I insist. And I guess kind of being new to this, I thought, well, who am I to turn down a free date from?
First mistake right there. No such thing as a free lunch. No such thing as a free lunch straight away. And I mean, let's be honest as well. Like, I have never been offered a free meal in my life from any woman on Tinder or anything like that.
Have you ever had anything where someone's pure like, I want to take you out and it's my treat, Ashley?
I am usually that person. That is I'm taking you out, let's go, like it's my treat. And that's also obviously a bad thing as well, because you shouldn't just, throw it out there straight away. Mm-hmm. But I know, like, talk from experience, that sounds like something I would say to just Lisa and Lisa only.
It's different if you're in a relationship, but it's like if you're single.
No, but like, I mean, as in like going back to being single, like when I was years and years ago, that is something that I would be throwing out there. Like I wouldn't necessarily to say, I'm taking you on a free date, but if the person's like, oh, I'm skint, I'd be like, no, it's on me. Like I'm taking you out.
Aye, that's interesting though, because this is getting into this whole gender thing and it being a bit heteronormative from my perspective, I suppose. But it's like, see if I was that guy in that position and the lassie's offering, like, especially when it's somebody you've no met off Tinder, if I got offered that free date, it would be a red flag. I would be like, what's going on here? Whereas I think probably guys would, it's more common that a guy would just offer, like in the same way you offer to buy a drink as like a way to try and get your attention. I'm sure guys probably offer all the time to take girls out for nice meals and stuff. It just doesn't really happen the other way around. Obviously, from like your perspective, Ashley, like I guess like I don't know if that's more blood or it wouldn't be as it'd probably be more normal, kind of like for one or the other person to offer. But for me, I suppose as a guy talking to girls, like I feel like if I got that offer, it would be a red flag because it's so uncommon. Whereas I guess for guys to girls and maybe girls to girls and maybe guys to guys, it's
would it put you off though if a girl was to say, I'm taking you out?
I mean, who the hell doesn't want a free dinner? Obviously, when they put me off, but I think it would just be that thing of like, this seems a wee bit too good to be true.
I think as well, you don't want to be bought, do you? Sorry, Rachel. You don't want to be bought, like, I don't know.
Well, it's like if they're that keen to get me, have they got some ulterior motive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
But with you, Ashley, like, have you ever found that would you prefer to be the person who's asking, or would you prefer to be asked?
Yeah, no, I prefer to ask. If someone was to ask me, that would give me the ick. Like I would just get put off by that.
Yeah,
I think at least I was to say I'm taking you out. Like again, I don't want to speak for all the lesbians because I know I'll get a lot of probably hate for saying this, but because they want to be like equal. There's no man in the relationship, but in my opinion, like I do think that there is maybe a more boyish lesbian out of the two. So for instance, Lisa is more the girl and I'm the man. So I think like I think I'm the one that's going to like be taking her out. Like I'm the one that's like, I'm taking you out on a date, like grab your coat, let's go. I think if she was to turn around and say that to me, I think a bit like how Mark would feel when if a girl asked him, if she was to say that to me, I'd be like, yeah, that's not happening. Like I would feel a bit like there's something odd here. Like, why are you so keen to take me out on a date?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's probably a similar thing. I think this is more the sexual terms that I was hearing, but like, so like our mate was telling us like about how it's like, like on Grindr and stuff, like you identify yourself as like a top or a bottom or both or whatever. And I suppose, and obviously that's a bedroom thing, but I guess that extends, like you're saying, to just the relationship in general. There's maybe one that's a bit of the more masculine one in the relationship and more feminine and stuff like that. And then I'm sure there's people that, it's more equal and there's not that thing going on. But that's interesting that I think that exists, and I think so like a top and a bottom is probably quite a good shorthand for it. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, there's such a big mind map to it, and everyone's got their own opinions on. There might be a lesbian couple that you meet that say there is no man and female in a all female relationship, but in my eyes, I do see myself as a more masculine woman that is going to take on the more manly roles if it were. Do you know what I mean?
And
that includes buying dinner.
And that includes buying dinner. Exactly.
Is there shorthand? Would you use shorthand for that? Or would you just be like, this is how I like to approach dating. I like to be the one who's more dominant, or do you know what I mean? Especially if you're on dating apps, would there be kind of something that you could get that across or write about that? Or is that just the way that you want it to come out naturally?
I think in terms of getting that across, I think the way that someone might dress it kind of gets it across. Like I'm not going to, like, again, going back to years ago, Lisa, when I was on dating apps, I you wouldn't see me in pictures in dresses, you know. I think by appearance, because appearance can, you know, count for an awful lot. It would be, you know, me wearing probably the same shirt as Marc. Do you know what I mean? Like I would be wearing very like manly clothes to let girls know, hey, I'm more manly, I'm more of a tomboy. I think they're called STEM. I'm not really sure the whole kind of lesbian lingo, but I think it's probably easier to say top and bottom, like what Marc was saying. I think through appearance, and I am also quite straightforward in terms of, I would say if the girl said they were skint, I'd be like, well, I'm taking you out anyway, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, totally.
So this scenario, the girl has offered the guy for the dinner. So let's see what happens from here.
You know, a girl or whatever. So okay, and we were to meet outside, and so I'm standing there waiting. And while I'm waiting, this girl walks up and she's like, "Callum, oh my God, hi, how are you? How are you?" And in my head, I'm thinking, "Oh no, I can't remember this person," because I'm quite bad for forgetting names and whatnot. And I could not picture this girl or how I knew her, sort of thing. And we chatted away for like a minute or two, and then it became apparent that this girl was my date, even though she really looked nothing like the profile that I had matched with. And you know, I'm not going to be mean or whatever, but it just definitely was not the same person. It's not even like she was using pictures from a couple of years ago or something. This was a completely different girl. But she was like, right, so are we going in or whatever? And at this point, I was in total shock. I mean, bear in mind, this is my first ever Tinder experience. And she's like, right, well, are we going then? And it was kind of like, yeah, sure, okay. So
I would have walked away there, to be honest.
Would you?
It's just so funny. It's the way, like, this girl was not my date. Like, it was just the way he just stopped it there. It just made me laugh. It would have appeared that this girl was not my date.
Because the thing is, right, there's I think obviously a lot of the etiquette of a date is based on our social norms and things like that. So obviously you're not going to be, you know, if you're not feeling it with somebody on a date, you're not going to be rude and, you know, like just fucking, you know, like break those social norms. Like you're going to be polite and stuff. But if the person turns up and they're fucking not the person that they've been purporting to be, you've got every right to just get to fuck straight away.
And go, yeah. I think we're too polite though, as a, you know, as a nation, if you want to call it that. I think like in our heads, it's easy enough to say like get to, but it's harder, I think, in that situation when you've met and they're looking at you and you're like, what do I do in this situation?
Aye. Also, I mean, to be fair, he is saying that this was his first experience at Tinder, and I think if it was your first date, you would, you know, just because you've not got anything to compare it to, of course you would be like, you know, you, as you say, like maybe this is what everybody's like. They look completely different with their pictures. But I think if you've got a few under your belt, I think you're going like, nah, screw this. But it went well, and we'll see what happens with that.
we go in and we like sit down. You know, I do the polite thing of ordering the cheapest things on the menu because this girl's offered to pay. But we go in and she's like, "Oh my God, I love the Jack Daniel's chicken wings or whatever it is we have." And you're like, getting one of these each, and she just kept ordering stuff to the table like King Henry VIII on Coke. Tons of food, and I mean, absolutely tons, rack of ribs and stuff like that. She was just like going to town on this meal. Like, and I have to admit, it was just shite. The date was just terrible. There was no connection. There's like, she seemed more in love with TGI Fridays than anything else.
Do you know what's weird about that? Just to stop as well, because like this is like I always feel bad for girls when they tell me this, but like a lot of girls like they feel like self-conscious about eating in front of their date because like they don't want to be judged for how they look and all that, which is mad because obviously we all need to eat. But like the fact that she is just not giving a fucking tearing right in.
Wings of all things, your messy
Ribs,
finger
exactly. Ribs get stuck in. Like, I think there is some sort of like date etiquette where you can't, like, I think you can't order like, is it past like spaghetti, and there's all different types of things you can order on a. I mean, I'm probably a bit like the girl in that sense that I don't give a fuck. Like, I would just order. I would probably be more inclined to, like, if you can't love me when I'm eating ribs, when can you love me? Do you know what I mean? So, like, I wouldn't care. But I think I got like going with that guy. Like, I can agree with the knowing that somebody else is paying. You're not wanting to actually get what you want to order. You're sort of looking for like the mozzarella dippers. Do you know what I mean? You're looking for the cheapest. Like, I'll just have like some water, like not even bottled water, just water from the tap.
Totally. I think it's funny. I was speaking to my friend who she was chatting about, she'd gone on a date like ages ago, and she was basically said like, we got pizza and it was really great because he didn't eat the full pizza. And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, well, like, because obviously we were going to probably sleep together, it was nice to know that he didn't fill himself up too much, that he'd still have energy later on. It was like, I was like, oh yeah. She was like, it was really conscientious and nice of him. I was like, yeah, fair enough.
Unless he likes to carb load, in which case he should have ate the whole pizza.
Just to get all the protein in, a little shake before.
I know. Right, here we go.
I mean, it's going along, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, like, you've lied. And she so point blank denied that she'd used someone else's pictures or whatever. But as the night and the dinner was wearing on, I was getting less and less tolerant of this whole, no, that's definitely me, when it absolutely wasn't her in the pictures. We finished the main course, and I can't wait to get out of here. And she orders this Knickerbocker Glory. I decline. And then she's like, no, you're having one. These two huge ice creams arrive, and they're enormous. And she sort of starts scranning hers, and I'm eating mine. And to be fair, it was delicious. It was really, really nice. Halfway through, she's like, I'm just going to pop to the toilet. And I was like, right, no worries. So off she trots. And like 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes go by. And I'm starting to think, man, this rack of ribs has really caught up on this poor girl. And eventually there's just not come back sort of thing, and there is no mobile phone signal, so I couldn't even like try and get in touch with her to see if she was okay. So in the end I had to ask one of the waitresses rather, to go in to the bathroom and to check on her. And the waitress comes back after a few minutes, and she's like, there's no one in there. And it slowly starts to dawn on me that this girl has dine and dashed me. Like an absolute peach. And the bill came to, I think, like £86 or something. Only saving grace is that the manager of the restaurant was sound as a pound. And after I told him what had happened, he said that he would only charge me £20, but so long as he could tell this story to all of his pals.
Oh my God.
Wow. There was so much in that.
I know.
I would just say, first of all, that guy was so tolerant of her behaviour the entire time. Like, the ribs thing, it just like, you know.
For the ribs thing.
He was like, to be fair, the Knickerbocker. Yeah, he's like, to be fair, the Knickerbocker Glory was delightful. You know, like, it was.
He had a nice time, kind of, by the end, really.
What a bold move, though. I mean, she obviously must have planned that from the start. And it's even, see to be that bold, right, to go through with that thing. So to, first of all, show up knowing that you've had different pictures, telling him you're going to pay for the whole meal, ordering like the most expensive stuff and all this stuff, gorging it down, then just going away and just leaving and being that bold to do all of that thing. That really hits me. The thing that strikes me is there's no way that's the only time she's ever done that.
Like knowing
Yeah.
he was skint, that is just so rubbish. Like that's
Yeah.
like he was happy to go out with her like on the Friday when they got paid, and she's brought him out knowing that he couldn't afford to actually be out and done all that. Like that's just
I know
like,
it's quite cruel, isn't it?
very very cruel. Yeah.
Yeah, but it must happen often, like you say, to have the absolute brass neck of doing that. It must happen often to be able to know that you can get away with it. Because what would happen if like he had left or whatever, like halfway
Aye.
through?
Well, there's so many points, and so if that was her plan all along, I'm going to get this free meal with this guy, and I'm going to leave before we've paid. There's so many points that could have went wrong for her, particularly when they turned up and met, and all it would have taken was him to go, "Oh, you don't really like your pictures? No, thanks," and then that's screwed. So the fact that there's that many levels to it, and she's clearly the whole time relying on the social etiquette to get to the end. And as you say, particularly because he's told her he's skint or that, there's that added sadistic thing. Yeah, it's like it's one thing to just say, "Oh, we'll go half in" or whatever, and then you do that, but to have actually brought this guy out, know he's got no money, and then leave him in the shit, like either she's getting revenge, like for like just maybe something's happened to her, and she's like, "Fuck all men, I'm going to just like get my payback," or she's just some sort of fucking serial blagger that just wants to get a free meal every night.
I was thinking what I would do if I went and there was someone with completely different pictures, and I was thinking, oh God, like I would be like, oh no, I need to be polite and I need to just like have one drink, because there's been times where I've been like, oh, I'll just have a couple of drinks or whatever. But I actually think that, see, if it was someone's completely different pictures, I would feel like I would be able to say no, because I would not trust that they wouldn't be like a baddie who was going to kidnap me.
With the guy, I would have actually been all right. See if he turned around and went, like she was making me eat all this stuff and I didn't want it, but like I end up doing it, and then I went to the toilet and I just done a runner. Like I would actually like, do you know what? Fair enough, mate, because she's just lied to you with her pictures. So get your free meal and get out of there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's the
I would
fact
have been
that
more likely
he's
to
done it,
leave. I know I'd have been more likely to leave when she was in the bathroom than her leaving if I was in that situation.
just getting out of there. Aye.
But
Yeah.
so the thing is as well, by the way, thank God that the restaurant were so understanding. Do you know what I mean?
I know that's. I mean, kudos to them, but I think that's just to even put the guy in. I just feel so sad for the guy. Like to even put him in that situation. Like I can't imagine like being skint and somebody doing that to you, and you're just left there. They don't give a fuck about you. They've left, and she could just go to bed and sleep easy and on to the next one. Whereas he's left there putting this 80 quid bill on for somebody that has just lied to him.
I know, and then he's in the back washing the dishes to make up for the.
And more importantly, that was his first ever experience on Tinder. Like, what a way to go!
Yeah.
That would just
I
put
know.
you off completely.
100%.
I know you're like scarred for life. I was trying to think of times that I had been catfished, and I was like, right, I've not been catfished. And then when you have moments where you're like, oh, I wasn't catfishing, but I would say every time I meet a guy, I would say if it says their height, they're always a lot shorter than their height, which we've kind of chatted about in the podcast before about height. But like sometimes it's by a considerable amount. So it's more just when you're looking for someone that you're thinking, I'm looking for someone and they're 5'10" and then they're 5'7". And so you're like, okay, well, that's not kind of what I imagined and it's fine. But it's that kind of thing of like, that's not what I thought, who I thought I was going to meet. And I actually had someone, this was like middle of lockdown. And well, not middle, like basically when things were kind of allowed and you could go on walks again with people. There was a guy who he was definitely his pictures, but he texted me like 10 minutes before the date saying, oh, by the way, I dyed my hair bleach blonde and shaved it off. So I'm the guy with the kind of like, but it was fine, but it was that thing of being like, oh, this isn't who I thought that I was going to meet and who I'd like envisaged. And it wasn't actually catfishing, but it was that thing of feeling like a misstep of being like, oh, well, I didn't really think that was what you looked like.
Rachel missed out the end of that text where he says, hit me back just to chat, your biggest fan, this is Stan. Hey Rachel, I texted you 5 minutes ago, you still ain't calling.
I wish.
he would have went the whole 8 mile for you, Rachel.
Oh, she went in.
Keep on coming.